Also on Monday, Belarus ordered its troops to deploy alongside Russian forces near the Ukrainian border. And speaking to France 24, Ukraine's foreign minister reacted. Take a listen.
It's a very worrying development, and I think not only for Ukraine, but also for those EU countries, Lithuania, Latvia, Poland, who border Belarus, because no one can predict what this joint army of Belarus and Russia will do in its territory and how they will behave. So it's a deterioration, a serious deterioration of security situation, not only vis-a-vis Ukraine, but also vis-a-vis the European Union.
So, Armin, what should we make of possible Belarusian involvement in the war?
Well, it's not really clear. I mean, it's pretty vague at the moment, this regional grouping of forces. Clearly, it's part of the psychological pressure on Ukraine, but in a way that's been there throughout this whole war. Will Belarus get directly involved or not? That's a question that's been asked for many months. I suppose the use of the word joint is important here, because what that does is it sends a signal to the West, as if to say, if you, the West, attempted to attack Belarusian troops in order to kind of relieve the pressure on Ukraine as a result of a new front, then you would be attacking Russian troops as well. So I think that's the kind of messaging that's going on here. But clearly you can see what Putin's interest would be in trying to get Lukashenko directly involved. It is quite simply to put some of that pressure off Russian troops in eastern Ukraine and in southern Ukraine, and to force Ukrainian forces to regroup, to redirect some of their forces away from those offensives in the east and the south. So the strategic interest for the Kremlin is pretty obvious.
Meanwhile, Armin, the vote at the UN General Assembly expected for sometime later this week will be a test of support for both Russia and Ukraine, then, won't it?
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned in your introduction, Aaron, about the attempts to hold a secret ballot in the UN General Assembly. That, of course, failed. But it's interesting to actually break down the numbers. So there was a clear majority of countries that was in favor of an open ballot, 107 countries, but there were 39 abstentions. So that gives us a clue as to how the main vote is going to go, in terms of there will clearly be a perhaps significant number of countries that abstain, that don't want to openly support this takeover of the four regions in Ukraine, but also that don't want to openly take a stand against Russia. So I think it will be interesting to see how many abstentions there are compared to the 35 abstentions in the UN General Assembly back in March, when the UN held its first vote just after the start of the war. It will be interesting to see if any kind of Ukraine fatigue has set in, and if there are actually perhaps a greater number of abstentions when this vote comes up tomorrow compared to, as I said, the March vote.
Especially, I imagine, especially amongst non-Western countries.
Exactly, yeah.
Armin Georgian, thank you very much.
Thank you.